Well, we're delighted to be here because not only are we on the board of CHIP and big believers in CHIP, but CHIP actually was founded in our class some 5 years ago, I guess now. We teach an undergraduate class that Heather's in called Health Communication, but it's changed its name to something like Communicating Health and Medical Issues, but it's really COM 443. What? Pardon me?
It's really good.
It's really good. So, and we were about halfway through that class, and two really good students came up to us after, and they said, "Gee, we'd like to start this new group." And we just go, "Oh God, more work. This seems so unrealistic." And they pulled it off, and look what CHIP has become. One of them just graduated actually from the University of Chicago Medical School, and Judy and Chuen has got a master's in nursing, and they're still on the board, so we Skype with them and talk with them, and so we've been there from the beginning and delighted to be here today. So I think what we want to do, we don't have that much time, is talk to you, as Heather said, about some nonverbal communication, things that you might not be aware of as you're talking with people, as you're testing them, doing blood pressures and glucose and other kinds of testing. And then we wanted to work on the words that you actually use when you do your blood pressure testings at these outreach clinics. And then finally talk a little bit about the design of the actual materials that you give them, the card with their reading or readings, if you take multiple readings, and their clinic information sheet. So why don't we start with nonverbal behavior. Why don't you just say a word or two about just how important it is and how, let me show some pictures.
Well, and a lot of this is really common sense, so it's not that we're telling you things that you don't intuitively know, but just to underscore how important it is to manage your behavior as you're working with clients, because more than half of the information that they actually take away from the health fair encounter or the other screening encounter that you participate in is really colored by your nonverbal acts. And not surprisingly, point number one is to maintain eye contact with people, which convinces them that you are indeed interested in them and are ready to receive feedback from them and are sympathetic with them. And so when you sort of avert your gaze or act shyly with people like this, or constantly look down at some notes or some things that you have in your hand, you're depriving people of a connection that they really yearn for and expect from you. Smiles, of course, genuine smiles, not false smiles like. But you really, it's hard to fake.
It's not that hard to tell if you're doing it for right? Oh, I'm glad you're here today. I can't wait to get out of here. That kind of thing.
It's hard to fake a good smile, frankly, which means that you really have to genuinely be interested in the people that you're dealing with. It's really more important for you to like them than it is for them to like you. Believe me, if you like them, they will like you. And so if you're not the kind of person who genuinely takes joy and pleasure in meeting new people and in trying to help them in a health situation, this is probably not the job for you. You can't fake it, in other words, at least for very long. Why don't you talk about...
There are a couple of these other things that you're going to think they're so simple-minded. I can't believe that we're actually here on a Wednesday night when we're doing all these other things, listening to this. But a lot of the stuff we're talking about sort of gets processed at the lowest conscious level. And if you don't pay attention to these things, they really can add up to be quite a less than satisfying encounter for both you and for the client you're working with. And we're going to show you a couple of pictures, and a couple of these will show you which are posed. And Peter was the photographer, and your trustee, Susan here, was the person who agreed to be posed in these pictures. So we'll tell you, you'll see which one's posed and which one's not.
They'll pose, they're realistic.
Yes,
they're very
pose them to show certain things. And here's one that checking into a doctor's office, and there's, I suspect, no one in here who has not gone through that. When you go in and just receptionist there and write your name down and sort of present yourself for that. And it happens all the time, thousands of times, and all across the country. But there's actually a way for even the very first moment in a doctor's office, in the waiting room, to make that a better experience. I mean, you're there because you're ill, or you're there with someone who is ill, so you're already stressed and probably not in the best mood for information processing. So does anybody have any thoughts about this? I mean, you've seen this kind of scene many, many, many times. Does anybody have...
What's wrong with this picture?
Is there something, or is there a way that it could be improved fairly easily without, sort of overhauling medical care?
Yeah, maybe like evening up the eye level. So that
Precisely.
Brilliant.
Here's the better word.
Evening of eye level, so
And
that
all
when...
it takes is for her to get off her tush.
Yeah, but it's really important for you to think about this because, of course, you may not want to do this, but as each person comes up, come and have the same eye level. So whether you're the tester who is sitting there with a stethoscope around your neck and someone is bringing someone over, I don't know how you set these up, whether there's Peter's the greeter and brings someone over, get up and say, "Hi, my name is Susan. We'll be doing a blood pressure test today. Please sit down." Okay?
Makes all the difference.
It's a huge, huge, huge difference, and we'll talk more about the script that you use, but it makes a huge difference. And then we wanted to show you, without going into sort of the whole lecture on this, it turns out this is a posed picture, but it's posed to show all kinds of things that are going right in a doctor-patient consultation. So if you can, that's why I wanted you to sit up close, if you can get a sense of this, how many different things are going right in this consultation? Yeah.
Well, one of them is that he's angled towards her.
This,
Like, obviously interested in communication.
exactly. He's leaning in and angled towards her, me. Yeah. Right. Exactly. What
So the chairs are situated like this.
Right. So you want to think about how you do that. We'll show you a picture of some blood pressure tests. We actually do. We can show you. There are other things to show in that one, but the last one. Yeah. So this is not a chip experience, but here is a blood pressure testing that we were doing. And here's a mother being tested, and you can see her children are looking on with great concern and interest, and so you can invite them in so they see what's going on with mom. And oftentimes, even though the kids are probably not at risk, the mother will say, "I'll only do it if you do my kids as well." I don't know, do you get that experience often, or you don't have kids so much?
We don't provide screens for kids, so usually
You're not allowed? Yeah. Oh, okay.
So usually we have them look on.
Yeah, look on. Okay. So that's good. So they're leaning in toward each other. What else is good about this is a good practice that would promote communication. Yeah.
Do you like hand?
Yeah. It turns out that when you open your hand,
Open your wrist.
that is a very open, rather than a hold it for sex, defensive kind of posture, and it communicates, again, under the conscious level, absolutely. What else is good about what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Leaning forward a bit.
he's leaning forward, and when you lean forward, I seem more interested in you, right?
It just takes a few degrees, just
Yeah.
a couple of degrees.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to sort of topple over, but yeah, absolutely. What else is good about this?
There's no one.
Yeah.
The distance between them is perfect. There's not too much and there's not too little.
Right, and that is very culturally bound, by the way. In other cultures, they would want to be closer. But you're absolutely right. The distance is sort of comforting, but not so intimate that you think, we're at a dinner party. Absolutely.
And there's not a desk
Right, that's the
interposed
other
between
thing.
the two.
There is nothing in between them, so there's no barrier. There's not a desk or a chair or, or some other kind of little table in between them. And all of these little things just add up, and I will walk out of there feeling this was a better, more satisfying, more rewarding consultation, because what every patient wants is to feel that the doctor is paying attention, that they're really listening to me, and all these kinds of things make a difference. Is there any other thing? There's one other thing. Pardon me? There's icon, and you can tell we posed this, so it looks like there's really good eye contact, which really makes a difference. And there's one other thing. We posed this, and it's probably really hard for you to tell unless you're really up close. The doctor and the patient are in the exact same chairs. So not only are they at the same elevation, they're at the same status level. So we don't have him in one, these big fancy high back chairs that cost thousands of dollars and ergonomically correct and all this stuff, and have me in a little folding chair that you would get at a church social. They're in the same kind of chairs, so you want to think about that as well. And
For example, these are not the same chairs. These two chairs have different status.
Right.
And you can guess which one is the higher status chair.
No, right? These things make a difference.
An arm, the arms.
Molded, looks more comfy. This, I don't think so.
Which chair looks more expensive to you?
Now, we didn't get sense, we didn't get any chairs here, but...
Oh, we just found them here.
There were a whole bunch of other kinds of chairs there, too. So those kinds of things really make a difference.